Hi, and welcome to another episode of What Does the Fox Say? My name is Daniel Fox. I had planned for this week to talk about the dynamics of transformation. I had the story about caterpillars becoming butterflies, about snakes shedding their old skin. But this morning, when I was listening to an interview with Esther Perel on the podcast Pivot, she was talking about how we're all dealing with this new reality, how we all have our own different ways of dealing with risk and uncertainty when facing traumatic events. And it resonated a lot with me because I'm such an outsider when it comes to dealing with dangers, uncertainty, risks. And this pandemic situation has created a situation that I didn't see coming or wasn't prepared for. And I guess that's one of the big takeaways from this traumatic chapter, is that we're all out of our element here. It's also the reasons why we're all in this together. So this week I want to share with you something that I've been struggling with. I do solo wilderness expeditions. I go out by myself into the wilderness for long periods of times and face the wild. I deal with solitude, dangers, and a much higher level of risk that I know people can deal with. I spent a lot of time facing my fears, learning about them, about how my body and my mind reacts when facing the unknown and the dangerous. I even created a breathing exercise. Stop, breathe, relax, listen. That helps me process those situations. I take a cold shower in the morning so that I can train my body not to have that initial physical gut reaction. I'm an artist, a rebel, a misfit. I push the boundaries and question the status quo. And I've always been okay with it. I know my place in the world. My mission is to live on the edges of society, to swim the uncharted waters so that I can bring a different perspective. For the past 10 years, I've been sharing my experience, the insights and lessons that I've acquired from my time in the wilderness. I don't expect people to do the same things that I do. In fact, I don't want them to. The life that I've chosen is not for everyone, and I'm fully conscious of that. Before the pandemic, there was a clear distinction between my creative, wild world, the world that I go to when on expeditions, and the normal world, the world that I go back to in the urban modern society. My world of expedition is a world of higher risk, freedom and discoveries. It's a place where I can do what I want, when I want, and where I want. And the normal world is one of lower risk, predictability, community, stability, and order. I've always been aware of the separation between the two, how each demands a different approach, a different protocol. How I behave in the wild is not how I behave in the city, and how I behave in the city wouldn't get me far in the wild. What this pandemic has created for me is that while my relationship with risk and danger hasn't changed, the normal world has. The way that I deal with risk and dangers out there in the wilderness works when I'm by myself, doing my own thing. When I guide people on an expedition, the group is aware of the risk and we all know what we got ourselves into. When I teach risk assessment and fear management, it's always within the context of normal reality. But this has nothing to do with the normal reality. What is going on right now is that the entire planet has been sent into a wilderness expedition that it didn't ask for. It's been forced outside of its comfort zone And now people are facing levels of risk and dangers that they're not prepared for. It's like the entire world has been shoved into my world of risk and dangers. Not by choice. People didn't ask for this. Before the pandemic, there was a clear distinction, a separation between the world of risk and dangers and the world of security and comfort. We each had our place. But now, it's like my wild, risky world has been merged with the normal world, and while it's business as usual for me, I know that society couldn't work if it pushed the boundaries like I do, if it dealt with risk and dangers like I do. I'm meant to be an outsider, not the norm. In moments like these, safety takes on an entire new definition. It's better to be safe rather than sorry. It's better to overreact on the careful side rather than regret later. And that honestly is a struggle for me. Anyhow, those are challenging times for everyone. And while I have a different relationship with risk and dangers, while stress and uncertainty are the waters that I swim in, I will focus on compassion and humility and put my skill set to the good of the community. So don't forget, stop, breathe, relax, listen. And we'll see you next week when I talk about transformation.